I am guilty of loving a knife that has a great detent, multiple forms of deployment, nice drop shutty action, and just something that is fun to flick open and close. I think we all are. And knives now are in many cases made specifically for that. Like a lot of them have multiple forms of deployments, great detents, nice drop shutty action, and are fun to flick open and close while we're passing time. But that is not what this video is about. This video is about knives that are fidget knives, fidget toys that are also a knife. Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we are going through some knives that are kind of fidget toys and knives at the same time. So this knife right here is by Spark. I will try to link everything I can down in the description. We're going to get through these really quickly because this is more of a fun video. We have an M390 drop point blade with a titanium frame lock. So this is a premium knife. We're also having thumb studs, nice front flipper, but then it also has a fidget spinner on it. Now, it's not like the most spinning fidget spinner. Like for an example, I have a pen here. This thing will spin for like 3 minutes. It's got a glass breaker and then, the bolt action, but it is still, kind of fun, while you're just kind of chilling. But you also can hit that button right there, and then now it's like a clicker. And it's fun. You could put a tritium insert in there. It does have a good solid detent. The front flipper works like a regular flipper, the side finger, or the front flipping action. So that's also very fun because to me, a front flipper is always more fun when you can fidget in multiple different ways. Another one that does something similar to the last one is from Hytron, and this has a copper Damascus blade, which is pretty damn cool. Then it has a titanium handle and a crossbar lock. Phenomenal action with the thumb studs. And it has this nice texturing on it that's nice deep milling, and it has also a fidget toy. Now this is a clicker that you can click in any direction, and a spinner. Now you can spin it one way, or you can snap it down and it vibrates. So it kind of has, a few different ways you can use it. This copper Damascus, I forget what the core steel is, but it is a good steel. I just forget what it is, so forgive me. Maybe I'll write it on the screen. Very thin blade. This is very slicey. So this is a very utilitarian knife while being really fidgety. And you do have a spot for tritium once again. These do come in different color options. Again, I'll have everything linked down in the description for you guys. Now this next one is one of my designs. This is a prototype, and I will talk a little bit about a knife you can get right now that's similar. And I will also talk about, really quickly, the new one that is coming. So this is the first prototype, which I already knew from the start was not going to be the production, right? This was just to see how I could work out the mechanism, and it wound up working out good because now I do have everything fixed the way I want with the next prototype. And basically this has a handle in the middle and a blade. It's called like a triple action knife. It's been done before, and we'll show one that actually is one you can buy right now. This one, however, has a lock and a milled titanium pocket. This is a titanium handle. My production model will be in Magna Cut, and then my next prototype will be in Nitro V. But you see how we have a channel cut out right here. Now, the one problem is this. Now, all the triple action knives, the problem is the edge hits that. So what I did was, with my new one that's coming, the channel is drilled all the way up to the top, and my stop pin, instead of being in the front right there, is on the sides. So this allows it to go underneath the stop pin, and then as it goes tighter, it just gets tighter and tighter and locks the blade open, making a super solid lockup with this one and with the next production. But then when you want to disengage, you just pop that down, and you can flip it out. So it's a very rapid deploying knife that has a really cool sound and really fun action. But what you can do is, instead of going down and up, all you gotta do is go out and it will open right up. And then to drop it, you just go like that and then tilt it backwards. So when you close it, you don't try to swing the handle up, you just tilt your handle back. Now you can also flip it around the opposite way and just drop it. and it will drop shut. You can take your pinky and swing it forward and then back down. So this is a very fun knife, and it does keep your fingers out of the way of the blade, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. Now this one does have, some factors that are problematic, because that's why, it's a prototype, but the new version will have a harpoon, very deep hollow ground spear point blade, similar handle, but it will have some changes, and there's going to be a lot of changes overall. Now, there is one you can get right now that's a cheap version of it, I guess you could say. This is all just bent metal, and you can see how it's solid here. So so the blade is always going to hit this section, and the tip could hit there. And that's why I put a channel in mine, so that when you're closing it, it can swing through there as the handle's coming down. And but when it goes to open, it won't allow the blade to open until it gets past a certain point, and then it will allow it to open. This is still a lot of fun, I do gotta say. Like, this is like 60 bucks. Granted, maybe the materials aren't really worth it. I think it's like a Ford 40C blade, and then, just a stainless steel handle. So yes, it is kind of cheap, but it's fun because you can get a lot of the same action out of it that you'll get from, other triple action knives. I did see somebody else is designing one too that is doing a pre-order on one. I do not know how his is, and I do not know who started theirs first, but regardless, I'll let the best man win. Next is, now that last knife was considered a gravity knife, and so is this. Now, I have a bunch of different versions of this. This is the Riet EXO. There's, a few different style gravity knives out there. This one is a lot of fun because it's kind of, you just let the handle drop, flick your wrist, the blade comes out, and then this locks it shut. You also have a lock here, and this does have a clip. Now, what's cool about this is there's no pressure on the lock. Just like my design with the triple action, there's no pressure on the lock. All the pressure is in the handle. So it's nearly impossible for this thing to fail on you, regardless if you're stabbing or slashing with it, unless if you disengage and let go of this handle. You see this bar right there? All that is just pushed right into the handle. So, that makes these actually very, very solid, but also very fun to fidget with. And then again, there's lots of different blade shapes. There's different sizes. They have utility blades now. They got small ones, medium ones, large ones. So lots of different blade shapes, lots of different versions of the Riet EXO. Now, another somewhat form of a gravity knife is the old-fashioned butterfly knife or balisong. This one is from SQUID Works, USA made. They are a very high standard for balisongs. Now, I'm not a balisonger. I'm not even going to pretend to know how to really flip one aside from the standard opening and closing of a balisong. I've known how to do that since I was a little kid, but I never sat there and learned how to do all the tricks. But the guys that do are amazing, and it does look badass, and it looks like a lot of fun. I'm scared if I did know how to do it, I'd have a problem, because we already got a problem in this house with me fidgeting with knives. So let alone if I was a balisong guy. Me and the wife used to have a rule we eventually had to come up with, was no balisongs in the bed. Anyways, this is a badass balisong, and again, they have a ton of other versions. Not all balisongs are built equally. This one, if you see it, does not have the locking mechanism because its balance is what is so, so important. This is a real fidget one. So while this does have a live blade, and you can get a non-live blade, meaning it doesn't have an edge or anything, it's just for training, you can get those. This one actually does have a live blade, which I personally prefer. You can dull the edge if you need to, but the balance, the way it swings, the bearings, this is an integral handle. These are intended to be like for the guys who really like to flip them. Now, let's look at a little bit of a hybrid of a balisong, because now we got this new concept model. Now, I am going to make a separate video on all the ways to deploy and use this, because I just recently got it, so I'm still practicing with it. However, I have learned quite a few ways, and I'm getting really, really good at it. I love this knife by itself. Its handle is all titanium. It has an S35VN gorgeous spear point blade. I absolutely love this blade shape. And when it is locked open, this is a high functioning knife. One, the lock feels extremely secure. the way it works. So basically it has a detent in the handle, which the bar falls into, and once it snaps in place, now this is in front of the blade here, so it can't go down. You have to unhinge this and move, because see how that's attached to this right here? That has to move out of the way for the blade to drop. Now, it does have to be out of the way past a certain point before it'll catch, and then the blade will lock into place. So that's something you kind of have to get used to. But once you do, there is a lot of different ways to fidget with this thing that is pretty fun. Now, again, very ergonomic, nice and slicey, great shape for just general use. So this is definitely a fun one that I am learning how to operate and function at a high level. As far as a knife goes, it is a high functioning knife, but as far as a fidget knife. Now, not all of these are practical. Some of these things are gimmicky to some extent, especially when you're talking about putting a fidget toy on a knife. But it's still fun, and we're already fidgeting with our knives already. Now, before we close this out, because I am pretty much done, I could talk about fidget knives and knives I personally love to fidget with for hours. But one company I do want to bring up really quick is Winter Blades, because Winter Blades has made kind of a hybrid where there's something special about his knives where they are always amazing to deploy and open up, and while they're still a high functioning knife. This has an M390 blade, titanium handle, and the way it works is it's working under magnets. We have a magnetic lock, so that's a magnet pulling itself up into the tang. That makes it a very solid, very strong lock. I have tested this. And then we have two magnets right there acting as the detent. Now those magnets are also pushing against each other, which keeps the blade perfectly centered. So while that's happening, it's also pulling tension on the blade, making it a very strong, solid lock, or sorry, strong detent. Then you also have this weirdly operated flipper. Now, he has done a ton of different stuff. I'm not going to pull all of my Winter Blades out, but I will just pull out a couple really quick. I do know he just dropped a new version of the Factor. I do not know all the changes that are done with it. This one is the large version, which is called the 8 in magnet cut steel. So we got the Damascus, M390, and then this one is a large version in magnet cut. But check this out. What's really cool about this is that this one came with 2 magnets, and I installed 2 more because he left you a section to put 2 more. Those are 2 earth magnets, and wow, this is the strongest detent Winter Blades that I bet exists right now. It is a very strong detent. This flipper works 10 times better than these because of that resistance, but it also still has that magnetic lock, which is really cool. The same action, doesn't have the ting, but I love the size. Then this is something else from him that's completely different. And he has a lot of other cool stuff too, but this one has multiple different ways to open it. It's called the M-Fire. So one, we have a manual action, right? Then you also have the auto action where you can literally, that's my fault, you can pull down the button and it just deploys. Then it also can close relatively easy. You are pushing back the resistance of that, which I do think that is magnetic. Pretty sure, yeah, pretty sure that's magnetic, but he did have another one that I did have that was magnetically sprung, but it was almost like, instead of being a full assist, it was like a half assist. This one is more of an auto and a manual knife put together, which is really, really cool. Oh, and by the way, this one's in Vanax steel. Forgot to mention that. Carbon fiber, and then this is aluminum. So very, very cool. Titanium clip. Backspacer, all badass. And something that's definitely very fidget friendly. And again, he has a lot of other stuff. This is just an example of some of his work. Again, he did recently just drop another version of the Factor. Again, I forget the differences. Hopefully we'll get one on the channel here pretty soon. And hopefully we'll get anything else that I do not have on the channel pretty soon. I do have most of his stuff because of the the video I did at Blade Show where I shown all his stuff that he's coming out with, but I'm talking about on the channel where I can personally test it. Work hard, stay tough. Till next time, peace.